Hi, this is Frank Radice with the Future of Content series powered by Red Touch Media. Here at CES 2014, we spoke with Peter Weedfald, president of Gen 1 Ventures, on a variety of subjects. I think that there is a fourth business. And that is batteries.
Yes.
It's really simple. Everything has to be done mobily.
Yes.
What powers mobile?
Yep.
Even if you've got the pipe, if your battery's dead, the pipe doesn't matter.
Right. So Mayoshi's son, who you may know from SoftBank, taught me something a long time ago, to your point about batteries. And what he said was, you know, what we want to do is we'll let people build the highway. Go ahead, build the highway, but we want to own the gas stations. We want to own the food shops along the way.
That's the printer model.
Right. And so if you think about that with batteries, right?
Yeah.
There is all of this, the three-legged stool I think we agreed to was its content, it's the first inch through a piece of glass, and then it's the pipe, right? All working perfectly and very quickly together. The battery is the highway, if you think about it, because once the battery, because remember I said before, you have a home life, a business life, and a mobile life. It's all now a mobile life.
Yeah.
Whether you like to, even when you're sitting there watching TV at home, you got a mobile device with you, right? So battery life, I agree with you extensively, is a great weapon. And here's the other good news. Nobody has carved it out. Nobody is taking credit for carving out, giving us longevity in our mobile lives, whether it's in our home or outside. So I think that's a great one.
You know, the argument has been made that that very much in the sort of the mindset of the way that a printer company operates is like give you the printer, charge you a bundle for the ink, which is going to run out very quickly, so that you then have to go out and buy more ink that continues to monetize greater and greater numbers for that printer company, whether it's Brother or HP or whatever it is. It's not about the hardware; it's about the think of the ink as the battery.
Yep.
That it's something that actually can be fixed,
Yes.
but hasn't been.
Yeah. So it's really leadership.
It's the water engine.
But it's leadership mindsets. You know, we were talking about batteries. The battery for all of this content is the leader of an organization. They're the ones that should be looking out and either discussing, this is the path we're going to take or not. And I'm going to give you a primary example, and I'm going to quote it on record. So I called on Compaq Computer, right? And I walked in there, and what their biggest conundrum was, how do we get into the printer market? Because HP owned it so big. So Compaq actually came out with printers. So I go in there as a representative of Zip Davis Publishing Company, multiple publications, and I had this idea. And I said, look, the one thing HP doesn't have, and at the time they didn't, they don't have computers. All they have is printers. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run a campaign that shows a compact PC with a compact printer, and here's a headline. I'm going to give it to you free of charge. In one compact, out the other.
Nice.
And to really make sure it works, because there really wasn't that technology, we're going to put an infrared light on here, and when you turn the computer on, it automatically turns the printer on. This is years ago, right? And then you're now going to get into the consumable business that you're not in right now, and you're going to take them on because HP doesn't have a PC. Well, I got to tell you, Frank, what I went through, they beat the hell out of me.
And then HP came back with a PC right away.
That's right, that's right. The first thing the executive did was he looked at me and he went, do you understand, just like this, which is the same thing that happened with Sony. Do you understand that we have a PC division and we have a printer division, and those are two separate businesses and we don't work together? That is an exact quote. And so,
no, by the way, that is a very old philosophy.
But we're seeing it today in
Yeah.
many cases, right? So when you look at contact going forward, and we were going to talk about wearables beyond batteries, right? And batteries are really big with wearables.
Actually, I don't know how wearables work without batteries.
Well,
Solar, but that's a battery.
well, yes, but it depends on what the application is of content to turn on and turn off the nodes connected to a hub. And the hub being, a digital camera is the hub, and the node might be, this incredible new product called Smart Lens, and Kodak JK Imaging actually owns the rights to Smart Lens, right? But that Smart Lens has got to have a battery, which is the node that connects to the hub, and has to be on all the time. But I think if we talk about content in the future, and if we really think about what the CEO from Intel said on the show floor on his big keynote speech on Edison, which is the new product, and the SD card that's actually inside of Edison, his example was, well, what we want to do is we don't maybe want to directly connect content in the traditional way, but we want to put a sensor on little Johnny who's 1 year old, and mommy and daddy want to know if the baby's crying, if the temperature's right, if he's got cholera or whatever, but we're not going to communicate with mom and dad. We'll communicate with the coffee cup. Because the coffee cup's going to have a node that's connected to that
Well,
hub.
this is Internet of Everything.
That's the Internet of Everything, right. So those are the examples of content moving forward. But remember what I said earlier about the one-to-one relationship. That
Can't get much more one-to-one than a
Yes.
parent and a baby.
That's right, that's right. But if you think about it, if you know that there's a parent and a baby, where do you draw the line? Now I want to advertise. I want to market, I want to bring my products out. And, I don't want to wind up having a niggling, purse-proud, cheese-paring, bag-o'-Latel product whose brand goes into the brand evaporation business. I want to get that time to volume in the first 90 to 120 days, and I need one-to-one to figure out who's got a baby, who's concerned about the baby, and in fact, which baby is actually prone to the flu. And that is where content must evolve to. Otherwise, I know we're seeing all this content. I know we're seeing all these products. Hello, McFly. Yeah, there's something called a P&L. And you can only live in the profit recession. I'll say it again, the profit recession business so long.
So long. Otherwise, bye-bye, your company is gone.
That's right. And that's why today when you look at the consumer electronics business, and I've studied this, and you look at the EBITDA of all the consumer electronic companies, two companies have over 55% of all the EBITDA globally, and that's Apple and Samsung. So, this business
And by the way, they have a tremendous amount of cash.
yes, tremendous amount of cash. And by the way, they've earned the right for those positions.
Yeah.
I mean, they have actually earned the right. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't lucky. The technologies and the products that those two companies bring to market let people lean in, and it's all about content. It's all about inspiration.
So, Samsung, being at the forefront of the smart TV revolution,
Okay.
was able to create a situation where they could collect data because of smart TV. And Apple had already done that by creating all of the things that it had created, including iTunes, where it could collect data and then figure out through the collection of that data how to best present the next level of products to its people. And collection of data, understanding of that data was also involved in R&D of next level of products.
So forgive my sagacity or lack of sagacity. When I was a publisher, it always blew my mind. I used to say this to Bill Ziff. I used to say, when the internet started up, it would say the following: hi, fill out the subscription for $19.99 for a magazine, right? And also give us your email address. And it would always say, get 62% off if you fill out this subscription. And by the way, please give us your email address. And I used to say to Bill, no, let's give 50% off to sign up for the subscription. If you give me your email address and you allow me to build a relationship with you, I'll give you another 20% off. And so I don't understand today, to your point, they're collecting all this data. They're collecting all this information. You and I have a great relationship with an Amazon, an Apple, and a Samsung. Why are they not asking us? Why are they not treating us differently? Why don't they say, Peter, like Toomey, I have so many Toomey bags just because I liked it.
Oh, me too.
Toomey doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Toomey doesn't treat me any different, but I'm an evangelist for them. How do we do that with content? So I'm waiting for Apple or Samsung or even Sony to recognize who you are and who I am, and to not only deliver us content, whether it's product, whether it's apps, whether it's whatever, but treat us special.
So that sounds to me like the most important thing of this conversation is personalization of presentation when it comes to marketing to someone that has to then go out and do something to buy a product.
Yes, and I'm going to give you one sidebar to that. I said to Mike Vitelli at Best Buy a couple of years ago, I said, the biggest conundrum you have is you spend all this money to advertise. You got 1,100 stores in the United States. Your SG&A is hot. It's torrid at 26 to 28%. You got to bring it down. It's too high because of all the human capital. And then somebody is hot and bothered. They wake up in the morning. They go, I want to buy a Samsung TV. They dress themselves pretty, take a shower. They're thinking about it. They've done their study. They get down to Best Buy. They're panting. They're panting, right? I mean, this is
Right.
dream inspiration,
Yeah.
right? This is all the. They buy it. They drag it out of there. They take it home. They set it up. What happened to Best Buy? Best Buy's gone. Best Buy, when they look at that TV, it says Samsung. It doesn't say Best Buy.
Yeah.
So
But that's why Best Buy set up the Geeks Club.
Well,
so that they could have a continuing relationship with the, I'm just playing
no,
devil's
it's,
advocate.
no, it's not devil's advocate. You're absolutely positively right. But then it brings us to the genius of Jeff Bezos going, "Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm on 60 Minutes. Yeah, you having a good day? Hey, watch this. We're going to have drones. They're going to come along." Of course, after the Federal Aviation Administration
it
says no
hey,
1,000
that's a
times.
no-fly zone.
Right. And if it drops on your head and somebody
Yeah,
dies the first
right.
time. But we're going to do that, and we're going to actually deliver the same day. Anything under 5 pounds. I actually looked up right away and I said, "Hello, McFly, Best Buy can do that right now."
Yeah.
For me, back to personalization, here's a real-time example, right? So when you build retail stores, there's big, massive studies about it. What's the household incomes? What's the location? How many people within the first, half mile, 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile? After that, we're going to compete with ourselves because our store over here is 4 miles away. All that work is done, right? So explain to me, especially after Jeff said, "You know what? I took it from you by delivering the next day, and people don't have to get in the car and shop," and nobody did anything about it, right? They started their own .coms and delivered also.
Yeah.
It's tough. But he goes out and says, if you really want to win in the marketplace, that's the lesson I got from him, deliver the same day. So why wouldn't Best Buy with 5,500 Geek Squad people say, go on bestbuy.com, order before 11 o'clock in
And
the
we'll be
morning,
over that
and
night.
we
We'll-
guarantee if you live within, pick your distance, Best Buy, half a mile,
Yeah.
1 mile,
10 miles.
3 miles,
Yeah.
we will deliver it by 7 o'clock the same day, no charge.
And
And
set
oh,
it
by
up.
the way, Geek Squad will be delivering it. If you want them to come in and set it up, we'll charge you for that, but the delivery is free. Back to your point about free, there's a great example
Yeah.
of delivering free that has huge value because I can buy it online, you're 3 miles from my home, and if I have a problem, I can go back to the store with it, which you can't do at Amazon.
And actually a good reason not for them not to close all their stores, quite honestly,
Well-
if they would take that philosophy and move it forward. Frank Radice, thanks so much for watching this episode of The Future of Content, powered by Red Touch Media. If you want to see more, just click on one of these buttons.